go. Up. Put it on full display in all its glory. Just make sure the stream is running. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. All right. Looks and sounds like everything is working. Happy holidays. Super Bowl 55 is here. We haven't spoken for, this is going to be an annoyance the entire time. We haven't spoken for a few weeks. It's good to see everyone. Can actually see you. So maybe I should find something better to say, but we'll work on that for next season. Welcome to the stream. Hey, Abby. Somewhat Miami Vice look. I rocked this in Miami last year for some daily wager hits, and I was going to wear it this morning, and then our wonderful stage manager told me that, and I've heard this before, so it is on me, how difficult it is to light this jacket. This jacket is so much, so beautiful, it's so glorious that I'm going to button it too. I'm going to make this really classy. This thing's going to pop today. We're going to do this right. We did a pocket square and everything for this mother. There we go. That it's too difficult to light. The lighting on set requires significant adjustments in order to light me properly when I wear this. Everyone apparently is sick of me wearing this because it creates so much extra work. So I was told to not wear it today. So I said, fine, I'll wear something classy and I'll save it for the stream. And that's where we are. Drink it in. Formal attire. It's our final stream of the year. Most importantly today, if there's one thing I get across over the next 30 minutes or so, it's a thank you to all of you who have watched me ramble on throughout the course of the last 22 weeks about my football bets. Mostly sober, sometimes not, sometimes winning, mostly not. I didn't even plan to say it like that, but that sounded good. It's like Walt Whitman right there. So, we have several things we need to get to. I will take questions if you have any. If not, so be it. We can share thoughts if you want to let me know who you guys are taking. I mean, this is really just I'm just really the, catalyst for the forum for us to discuss what we're all thinking. You guys lay your own stuff out there as well, right? Finish strong. That's what I like. Positive mindset today. I didn't drink either the last 2 days. I said, you know what? I'm going to completely dry out heading to the Super Bowl. Champagne's on ice. Drinking champagne all day. You'll remember a few weeks ago to halt a nasty cold streak. This is actually probably a couple months ago. I scheduled a steak dinner for Sunday night. We did the Sunday morning stream and I said, I got a steak dinner scheduled. I'm mentally visualizing a successful day and I'm already planning the celebration for that day. And you know what? We won that day. I don't think we won huge, but we stopped the losing streak and we won. Today, the same thing is going to happen. Same thing. We're dressing for success. And I got the champagne on ice, drinking champagne all day. Nothing but. So let's get to it. Delmonico. Oh, that's a good spot. Not where I'm going. I'm eating at home today, but I will be drinking here. For those who want to know the bubbly choice, Schramsberg from the Napa Valley makes a wonderful Brut Rosé. I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, it's a pink drink. It's a girly drink. It's delicious. You could bathe in that stuff. That's what your boy's going to be drinking all day. Drink like a champion today. How cold was that streak? I'd prefer not to revisit it. But if I must, I don't even know if 2-29 does it justice. 2-29 might be giving me credit for 2 wins I didn't get. It was cold. I think the losing was actually more than 29. It all started with that damn Thursday night game between the Falcons and the Panthers. I remember, and it ended because I was going in to eat at Hank's at Green Valley Ranch, and I came out and that whole thing fell apart. And then that was where I went to have the steak weeks later when I ended the cold streak, where I set it up, what I was just talking about, Hank's as well, Green Valley Ranch. Wentz to the Bears. Bears fans, don't worry about that right now. Don't worry about any of that. All right. Weather not going to be an issue. That's what we normally start with, right? Weather not supposed to be an issue today. There was talk about that earlier in the week. 67 degrees at kickoff, 2% chance of precipitation winds as high as 8 miles an hour. So we're not necessarily concerned about that getting in the way. Remember, it is Florida, and we can't necessarily trust weathermen and weather women. You think I go cold? They go cold as well with all that fancy technology. So weather as of now does not look to be an issue. From the injury front, no real surprises here. So the Chiefs are going to be down 2 players. Left tackle Eric Fisher, which is big. He hurt his Achilles in the AFC Championship game against the Bills. He's out. Linebacker Willie Gay Jr. out as well. Sammy Watkins, the wide receiver, is listed at questionable with a calf injury, but he is expected to play. On the Tampa Bay side, only 2 players listed as questionable. Antonio Brown, knee, tight end Cameron Brate, back, both expected to play. There was some concern about the Tampa secondary. Safeties Jordan Whitehead and Antoine Winfield Jr. were both coming in banged up, no injury designation. They're not 100%, but this is good news for the Tampa side of the equation. Now, for the line movement, it's been 2 weeks, but there hasn't been a whole lot going on. Here is the timeline of what's happened with the point spread. When the AFC Championship was concluding between Kansas City and Buffalo, one of 2 lines came out. Some books released Kansas City -3. Some released Kansas City -3.5. Right? Those were your options. Less than 24 hours later, the books that had released Kansas City -3.5 were down to 3. That's that. Now, there was difference of juice, right? Like generally the game will be -110. So you'll risk 110 to win 100. That's the price you pay to do business with the books. That's how they make their money. But they can alter the juice. And rather than move the point spread, you can move the juice. We saw -120, -118, -125, -115, all over the place, depending on where you shop. And that is where it sat for close to 2 weeks. And that's where it is today. And I might as well get to this part now. It's actually coming down today. Any of that increased juice has been coming out. Tampa money has been coming in. So it moves it from 3.5 to 3. And now the juice is moving down as well. For example, I see some -104s. I saw the Westgate here in Vegas this morning had Kansas City -3 even. No juice whatsoever. So it's Tampa Bay money. Now, it feels like the professional side here is the Tampa Bay side. They grab the 3.5s and they're grabbing some 3s as well. And remember, for those of you who have been coming here every week, this is not new when it comes to the Buccaneers in the playoffs. We saw this in each of the last 2 Bucs games. Against the Saints, they opened something like, I want to say it was -4. The Saints were -4. Immediately, the Saints got bet down to -3. So Tampa money was coming in. So it gets bet down to -3. Sits there all week. Right before kickoff, goes down to 2.5. More Tampa money. Tampa wins, Tampa covers. Right? Following week at Green Bay, similar scenario. Again, Green Bay's opening like -4. Immediately gets bet down to 3.5, sits there for a week, and then right before kickoff goes down to 3. Tampa wins, Tampa covers. So it could be the same group. Could be different groups, could be multiple groups, could be one group. But the reality is there are people out there who do this for a living who like the Buccaneers, and they've been hitting them each of the last 3 weeks, probably actually last 4 weeks, because we saw the line go up in the Washington game as well. So that's where we stand. This feels like your classic pros versus Joes scenario. Classic pros versus Joes. Pros are going to line up on Tampa. Public's going to line up on Kansas City, and we'll see where we go from there. That doesn't mean every professional's on Tampa. I know some smart people who are playing Kansas City. That doesn't mean everyone in the public's playing Kansas City. Some are obviously going to be on Tampa. But ultimately, that's what this looks like. From a total perspective, game opened as high as 57. Relatively quickly got bet down to 56.5, then 56, which sat there for almost 2 weeks. This week, we saw some 55.5s pop up. So there was some under money. That looked like it was in regards to the weather being an issue potentially, but all those 55s went back up to 56. Now I'm looking at the board right now. I see a 56.5 up there. No surprise. The public's going to come. The public always bets the over in the Super Bowl. That's just what it is. The public doesn't want to root against scoring. You're not going to see guys who bet recreationally, girls who bet recreationally running up to the counter to bet the under in the Super Bowl. No one wants that. You know how many unders I bet that I win that I still hate? I still need a shower after those games. I also see some 55.5s. So spoiler, I'm not doing anything with the total. There are so many options here to bet. I have absolutely no reason whatsoever to get involved in the total if I don't like it. I would give you my logic. I don't want to bet against scoring in this game because then you watch Mahomes go wild and you think, should have seen that coming. I don't know why I bet against it. And on the flip side, I think the number's really high. I think the Kansas City defense is better than anyone gives them credit for. I would want to bet the under. But like I said, I'm not betting the under. So I'm not playing it. So that's that. Spoiler, but we got plenty of action to get to. So there's the line rundown. All right. I've got 10 bets, 12. I got 14 bets. 2 of them are first touchdown bets. 2 of them are MVP bets. And then I've got 9 props and a side. So I don't really have the best way to break this down. Let's start with first TD. I'm not doing the coin toss the coin toss. The first thing you need to know about it is it's not a good bet, right? It's a 50-50 proposition. So if you're laying juice, it's a total sucker's play. But I can get why people would want to do it for the novelty. Tons of money is being bet on the coin toss. I hate betting the coin toss. Sorry to rain on everyone's parade who likes to do it. Personal preference, I can't stand it for a couple reasons. Number one, I absolutely hate the idea of starting the day with a losing bet more than I love the idea of starting the day with a winning bet. That's what that comes down to for me. Like if I bet the coin toss and I win, yay, on to the next action. If I bet it and I lose, I sit there and it's like, why did you do that? Right? Why did you do that? Why did you start the day off like that? Stupid. Also, generally, this is COVID, but generally you're at a party or a gathering. People won't shut the hell up. You have to run up to the TV. You put your ear up against the speakers. You're trying to watch it. It's a commemorative coin, so you can't tell what's heads. You can't tell what's tails. They flip it. It goes in the grass. You can't see anything. It's like the worst thing to track. The absolute worst. Like you watch a horse race, that's exciting, right? You know where your number is. They got the little graphic. You follow it all the way around. Very exciting 2 minutes. This is like you would want the thrill, but you can't even see it or hear it. I always feel like I'm being cheated. And then before you know it, before you can even digest what happened, who's returning the ball, who's getting it first, A, B, C, D, and E. So there's that. All right. Enough with the ranting. Let's get to some picks. We're going to start with first touchdown. I'm going to play one guy on each team. All right. So obviously there's going to be a loser here. And I don't really have any logic as to why I like to bet one guy from each team. I just want to have a shot, right? If Kansas City scores first, I want to have a horse in the race. If Tampa's going to score first, I want to have a horse in the race. So I'm going to start with Rob Gronkowski at 18-1 to score the first touchdown. Gronk is second on the team, second on Tampa Bay in red zone targets, 14, I believe. He trails only Mike Evans. So he gets his looks when the Bucs get down there. More importantly, Kansas City has struggled this season to defend the opposing tight end position. They've given up the 8th most receptions, the 5th most receiving yards, the 7th most receiving touchdowns when it comes to opposing tight ends. Translation, they don't defend tight ends very well. So we like that. We like the fact that the matchup's pretty solid. We like the fact that Gronk is a high target asset for Brady when we get down into the red zone. Now, Gronk's banged up. He's a shell of his former self. You know, he's on the downside of his career. I get all that. But we haven't talked about this, and I'm not hearing the narrative at all. I don't know. Maybe no one wanted to look into it. Maybe I missed it. Is this his last game? Remember, he retired and then came out of retirement to play with Brady in Tampa. Body's banged up. They win today. You think he's going to come back? Maybe. They lose today. You think he's going to come back? Maybe. But he's also a guy that's done really well saving his money. He was the guy that lived off his endorsement money. And every dollar he made in the NFL, he put away and invested. That's what he was doing. People can make their jokes about Gronk being a meathead, but he knows what he's doing financially. At least he has to this point. I haven't, looked at his Wells Fargo account today, so I have no idea. But he plays it smart. I mean, he's a fun guy, but he plays it smart. He's going to show up one last time is what I think. That's my thought. I see right there, Gronk is done. So, Gronk is done playing. Yeah, shows up for one more. He said he wants to play again. All right, then I missed that. But ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the last game. And the last time we saw him in a Super Bowl with Brady, he had the big, 50-yard reception against the Rams that set the Patriots up on the goal line for the only touchdown of the game. 18-1, right? You put him out there at 10-1, 5-1. I'm not playing this. 18-1 to score the first TD, Rob Gronkowski. That's bet number one. On the other side, I'm going to play Sammy Watkins at 20-1. Sammy Watkins, first TD, 20-1. So he's going to play, and no one's going to talk about him because he's been out forever. And he's like the least popular of all the big playmakers on the Kansas City roster, but that plays to our advantage here, right? So we all remember what Tyreek Hill did to Tampa Bay back in week 12. If you don't remember, I'm sure you have to have heard about it at some point the last 2 weeks. It's all we've been talking about. So he goes up for 200 yards and a couple touchdowns in the first quarter. He shredded Tampa. There is no way on God's green earth Todd Bowles can have a game plan anywhere close to what that first quarter looked like. Now, they were playing man coverage against Hill. After that first quarter, they realized they needed to make a change. They switched up the defense. Hill caught the ball 6 times the rest of the way out. Still impressive, but ultimately, they were able to at least stem the bleeding a little bit. Now, some of that had to deal with place selection from the Kansas City side and all that, but I am of the belief that Tampa's going to try to account for him early. Whether or not they stop him remains to be seen. I don't think there's any stopping Tyreek Hill. I think maybe you can limit him. You can prevent him from going for 300 yards, perhaps. But I think with the attention there and with the attention on Kelsey, that opens up the floodgates for someone else. And that's why we want to take a flyer here on Watkins at 20-1, right? Home run speed as where is it right there? Aller 1SJ had a big Super Bowl last year. I think it was 5 grabs for like 96 yards. Big playoff run last year. He can make plays. He's just injured a lot, and he's made a lot of money, and he's never lived up to the hype or the top 10 draft pick that Buffalo used on him. But that doesn't mean he can't score a touchdown today, and that doesn't mean he can't be the first one. Sammy Watkins, 20-1 to score the first TD. So those are the first 2 bets, their first TD bets. Kansas City side, Watkins, 20-1. Tampa side, Gronk, 18-1. So I've already assured myself at least one loser, right? But if we get the winner, it could pay for the rest of the card, or at least close. Save the MVPs for the end. Let's jump into the game. I am laying the 3 with Kansas City here. I don't think that's a surprise for anyone that's been following me. I've been talking about on Daily Wager for 2 straight weeks. I've been betting against Tampa Bay the whole way in the playoffs. I don't know if I did it with Washington. I think I did. Pretty sure I did. And I've lost on all of them. So make of that what you will. But I think there were a lot of questions about Kansas City at the end of the season. Second half of the season, they weren't blowing people out. They didn't look incredible. They weren't running up 50 points a game. We set these unbelievable expectations like the Bay Area does for the Warriors. I'm guilty of that from when I was working there. Crazy expectations. And then when they don't meet them, you sit there and you think to yourself, what's wrong with them? Nothing's wrong. They lost 1 game. I know the record said they lost 2. They sat their starters in week 17. That doesn't count. That was 1 game all year, a shootout against the Raiders. Big deal. They've been fantastic, right? Absolutely fantastic. And the AFC Championship game showed they're just as deadly as they've ever been. They were down 9-0 early, and then they ripped off a 21-point run in 10 minutes and made it 21-9 and then buried the Bills. And that was that. And a lot of people love the Bills. The Bills are a good team this year. But the point is, these guys can turn it on at any time. I can see their path to victory being anything. I can see them covering via a shootout. I can see them covering via a lower scoring game. I can see them covering while playing from behind. I can see them covering while playing from out in front. I can see it happening anyway. That's what makes them so good. And I can't get the image out of my mind of last year's Super Bowl against the Niners. Sorry, Bay Area, but I had to bring it up. Kansas City's losing that game 20-10 with 7 minutes to play. They're down 10 with 7 minutes to play against an elite defense. San Francisco had one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. Down 20-10, 7 minutes to play. They win 31-20. 21-0 run like that against a great defense. Tampa's got a good defense. They're not as good as the Niners defense at all. So it's just, I can't get that out of my mind. And they've done that to so many different people. They're just never out of it at any point ever. They're that lethal. 5-minute window, you lose focus. They could put 2-3 scores on you and immediately flip the game. Tampa's an interesting team because off the bye, which followed that Kansas City game, they've played 7 games, which includes the postseason. They're averaging 34 points per game. They won all those games. They have been very, very good. I don't see them playing from behind in this game, though. If you're Tampa Bay, you want it to be a game in which you control the clock, you run the football, you get some pressure on the opposing quarterback, like what we saw at Green Bay, right? You go up there, and everyone kept yelling and screaming, why do they keep running the ball on first down? They're not getting anything. It's just part of the plan. Keeping Rodgers on the sideline, keeping the Tampa defense on the sideline, keeping the defense honest. That's what it was all about, right? They're going to keep running the ball because they could keep running the ball. Green Bay never took that option away from them. Everyone blamed Tampa Bay. They keep running on first down. They're getting nothing. They didn't. What else did they need to do? They had the lead. They had the game where they wanted it. They controlled that football game, right? There's the team that's winning, and then there's the team that's controlling the game. Sometimes that's the same, but sometimes it's not. There were moments where Green Bay, I think, was winning that game. Maybe not. But Green Bay was not in control of that game at any point. At the end, they had an opportunity to go for it. They didn't want to. They had the control. They gave it up. We're not going to rehash any of that now. But if Tampa gets down, I don't see a shootout being the path to victory. That's not what they want to do. If you're getting in a shootout with Kansas City, you're playing right into Kansas City's defense's hands because they are used to this. They are used to garbage time. There's been blown out so many teams. This defense plays nickel and dime probably more than anybody because they're constantly facing teams that are throwing the ball late, trying to catch up. Right? Kansas City's not playing from behind all that often. So I don't see a scenario in which I don't see a plausible scenario where Tampa Bay gets down a couple scores in the second half of this game and that plays well to what they want to do. I don't see that. So Kansas is a long-winded way of telling you I like the Chiefs -3. Woo! That was probably more than was needed. All right, prop time. Favorite prop, Mahomes, 40.5 receptions over. This is one I've been talking about for 2 weeks. This is my favorite prop. Mahomes, 40.5 receptions over. He's averaging 39 a game for the regular season. So it's not as if this is going to require him to go so far above and beyond what he normally does. He averages 39 a game. So we need like 1.5 more. All right, let's figure it out. Week 12 against Tampa, he threw the ball 49 times. Now, I don't want to put a ton of stock in that game because it's just one game. But look at why he threw it 49 times. He was up the whole way. They were up 17-0 after the first quarter. They were up 20-7 at the half. They were up 2 scores going to the fourth quarter. And he still threw it 49 times. If he's down in this game, he's going to be throwing like crazy. If he's up in this game, though, we've seen evidence that he'll continue to throw because that's the Chiefs' best path to victory. Best path to victory. It is. Ride the right arm, the guy you just gave $500 million to. No one's going to doubt that. Plus, Tampa is the best run defense in the NFL, at least in terms of run defense and opponent yards per carry. Less than 4 yards per carry against this defense. You don't want to run? Don't run. Throw the ball all over him. Throw it early, throw it often, keep throwing. I don't see how Mahomes doesn't get over this. If he's trailing, he's definitely getting over it. If he's winning, probably going to get over it. 40.5. I like it. We're going over Patrick Mahomes. Now, conversely, I'm going to go Brady under 39.5 pass attempts. He hit this mark in 9 of 19 games this season. So it's not as if it's a regular occurrence for him to get there. I don't think Tampa's method to victory, like I've talked about, is going to be Brady throwing the ball all over the yard. They do not want to engage in a shootout. Tampa's not going to want to have 90-second touchdown drives. Now, if they do that 10 times, they're going to love it because they're going to win. But if they go out there and they score, the faster they score, the quicker their defense is back out there, right? There's got to be some smart, some intelligence here. Running the ball, grinding the clock, controlling some tempo, trying to keep Mahomes off the field, trying to keep your own defense rested. That's going to be key. In fact, the irony here is that I think in order for Tampa Bay to win, they need to have a game similar to what the New York Giants did to Brady and the undefeated Patriots in what was that, 2008? That's the path to victory, right? That Patriot team averaged 36 points per game. They were undefeated. Best offense we had ever seen. Strahan and the Giants went in there. They generated pressure with their front four. They dropped 7 guys in the coverage. They gave Brady's problems, but the Giants ran the ball. They took their time with the clock. They kept Brady on the sidelines. And then eventually you find yourself in the second half and you're like, oh shit, this is actually a tight game. And that's when the Giants feel good and the Patriots feel lousy, right? That's the great irony of this, is that if Brady wants to beat this offense, he's going to have to channel Eli Manning and the Giants and what they did to him back in 2008. So even if he's down and he's throwing the ball like crazy late, I don't think he's throwing the ball early. I think they're going to want to run and they're going to want to take their time. And ultimately, I don't think Brady's getting the 40 passing attempts. So I'm going under 39 and under 39.5 passing attempts for Brady. Moving along, similar reasons we laid out earlier, so we won't spend a lot of time on this. Rob Gronkowski over 29.5 receiving yards. The other tight end, Cameron Brate, is battling a back injury. And like we said earlier, Kansas City struggled to defend the opposing tight end position. 8th most receptions given up this year, 5th most receiving yards, 7th most touchdowns to opposing tight ends. They don't defend it very well. You've got Antonio Brown coming back for this game. You got Mike Evans. You got Chris Godwin. You might have Scotty, Miller, the really fast dude. You got guys coming out of the backfield. Gronk's not going to face the toughest coverage matchups here. We're asking for 30 yards. All those regions we laid out earlier. Maybe he doesn't come back next season, all that stuff, whatever. Over 29.5 receiving yards. This next one might be not my favorite in terms of winning it. I think this is going to be my favorite sweat of the day. Tom Brady over half a rushing yard. Tom Brady over half a rushing yard. That's it. We need one. Now remember something. Sacks do not count against rushing yards in the NFL. They do in college. So if Brady gets sacked, that counts against his passing yards. In college, if you get sacked, it counts against your rushing yards. So you don't have to worry about sacks. We need just one rushing yard from Brady to win this bet. Okay? One. In 9 previous Super Bowls, he's averaging about 3 rushing yards per game. That's a fun fact. It doesn't really have any bearing here. Here's how I see this happening. If you watch Brady over the years, you may have picked up the fact that he is one of the absolute best to ever do it. In fact, he probably is the best to ever do it. Understanding the situation and knowing that on 2nd and 9, if he completes an 8-yard pass and it's close to the sticks, hurrying his guys up to the line of scrimmage, getting them set, and then sneaking the ball while the defense is out of position. Like so many of these idiotic teams with these quarterbacks who can't process have that situation occur. 2nd and 9, they complete an 8-yard pass. Then they have this 20-minute discussion about should we go for it? Should we not go for it? Let's bring them out. Let's call timeout. Let's try to draw them off sides. Let's take a 5-yard penalty. Let's punt. Like so wasteful because you never went over this at practice because you just don't have a code like motorcycle. I'm only saying that because I hear a motorcycle outside right now. Don't think too much about the word. Think about what I'm saying, though. The very idea of just being prepared for that situation. Completing a pass, you know you're short. Motorcycle. Everyone runs to the line of scrimmage. Defense is scrambling. They're trying to substitute. You might catch them trying to substitute, catch them for a 5-yard penalty. They might be dragging ass coming back, and you get them 5 yards offside. They're not set. Hut, take the ball, quick sneak, get 1 yard, maybe 3 yards. That's it. Brady has made a living on that on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Get up to the line of scrimmage. Take advantage of the defense being out of position. I still don't understand why more quarterbacks don't do that because it's probably not taught and because some of these guys can't handle it. I'm not going to burn any quarterbacks. There's one I'm thinking about right now, and then it was like, you know what? I don't want to say the guy's name. He doesn't deserve it. It's Mitchell Trubisky because I know most of you are going to be like, oh, say it. Trubisky would never be ready for that situation, ever. Like he's so far behind trying to just keep up with the game. And that's a lot of quarterbacks too. It's not just Mitch. I said I wouldn't burn him. I did. But that's where we're at. Brady understands that. Get him up to the line of scrimmage, catch the defense off guard. I'm hoping we can get a couple of those. I'm hoping he can actually get like 2 yards too, little buffer. And then we need to avoid 2 things. One, Brady kneeling it at the end of the first half and Brady kneeling it at the end of the game. Now, at the end of the game, since I see Kansas City winning, I don't think Brady's going to be kneeling it down, which means we don't want a scenario where Kansas City scores with 6 seconds left in the first half and Brady comes out and takes a knee. If that happens, I'm going to be so pissed off, especially if he hasn't gotten a run at that point, because now I'm behind the sticks. I'm hoping to just be at 0 for most of the game, get the 1 yard, Kansas City leads, Kansas City wins, and that's how we escape. This is plus money too. This is like plus 140. Brady over half a rushing yard. A couple others. All right. Kansas City to commit the first penalty. I'm not putting a lot on this. I put some research in. If you think the refs are going to let them play like they did in the NFC Championship game, maybe they do, maybe they don't. This crew is supposed to call a lot of flags. So like I said, I'm only going to just play for a hunch here. Play it small. If you're going to let guys get away with stuff, that means offensive holding, defensive pass interference. But you can't let people get away with false starts. They're obvious. Kansas City had the 4th most false starts this year. Tampa Bay ranked like 24th, right? Kansas City was penalized 4th most. Tampa Bay was penalized 21st most. So ultimately, if you're going to let them play, I think there's a huge edge there in the fact that Kansas City gets the first penalty. That's what we're going to go with right there. Kansas City first penalty. Yep, immediate fade on the Tampa first penalty. Good luck. I'll be thinking of you, Quincy. As soon as Kansas City jumps off sides, I'm thinking of you, pal. Which is good for you because that means you're in my head. You're living, what do they say? You're living rent-free in my head. Good job. Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions. This is me piggybacking off a lot of smart guys who are playing this one. That's it. A lot of smart guys. Leonard Fournette's the passing game guy. That's it. Ronald Jones' hands suck. They're not going to throw to him. Jones is going to cut in the Fournette's rushing attempts. So we're playing under 48.5 rushing yards for Fournette as well. So this is a two-banger right here. Fournette over 3.5 receptions. Fournette under 48.5 rushing yards. Now, some people will look at what he's done this postseason and say, how can you go against playoff Lenny? He's been fantastic. His numbers have been good, but you go back to that Green Bay game, you're like, yeah, he got over 50 yards. He got there. He had that 120-yard run. If he doesn't break a big one, he had very little the rest of the way. And he's sharing with Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones is going to get carries in the running game today. Fact. Leonard Fournette getting the 48.5. If Tampa's trailing, they have to throw. No. But he is going to be a part of the passing game. And they're going to be throwing the ball no matter what in this game. There's no scenario in which I see Tampa Bay blowing Kansas City out of the water. So they're going to be throwing for 4 quarters. So Fournette over 3.5 receptions. Fournette under 48.5 rush yards. 2 more, and then we'll get to some MVPs. We talked about Sammy Watkins for the first TD. We'll play right back into that. Sammy Watkins over 36.5 receiving yards. Okay? Like I said, a lot of attention on Tyreek Hill, a lot of attention on Travis Kelce. Watkins played big in the playoffs last year. We haven't seen him for a while. It's a low number. We don't need him to catch 10 passes. He's got home run speed. This could all be done in one play. One play could cover this. But he catches 2 or 3 passes with his speed and with the matchups he should face today, with all that attention on Hill and Kelce, I like him to get to 36.5 yards, which isn't actually a thing. You just need to get to 37, which is what we're playing for. And then the final prop, longest kickoff return. Which team will have the longest kickoff return? Kansas City is going to be the selection there. I'm mostly playing this on touchback average. Tampa Bay only got touchbacks on 74% of their kicks. Kansas City got it on 84% of their kicks. I think Kansas City's a little more aggressive back there as well when it comes to running it out. Again, this isn't a big one. This is more of a hunch. Do a little research. Want to have some action on some weird things. That's going to be one right there. We'll recap all this in a second. Final 2 plays. MVP. One sexy, one not. The one that's not, Patrick Mahomes. I like the Chiefs to win. I saw Mahomes at minus 105. I figure put a little bonus point on it as well. 54 Super Bowls, 30 MVPs have been quarterbacks. Remember, though, there have been 55 MVPs. Super Bowl 12 had 2 MVPs, 2 guys along the Dallas Cowboy defensive line. So keep that in mind. But it's generally going to the quarterback, and if Kansas City wins, it's probably going to Mahomes. Now, if it doesn't, congratulations. It should have gone to Damian Williams, the running back last year, quite honestly, with what he did. But it went to Mahomes. If it goes to Mahomes, boom, 105, we got it. If it doesn't go to Mahomes and it goes to another Chief, who cares? We bet the Chiefs anyway. But I like to take a shot here with Mahomes. On the other side, Jordan Whitehead, 120-1. I want one long shot here. My thought process is this. If Tampa Bay is going to win, they're going to have to make some big plays on defense. Now, some people like Shaq Barrett for this. They like Devin White. Chris Jones, I understand. I'm going to bet the secondary because if you're going to win the MVP award from the defensive side, I'm thinking like, who was the guy for the Cowboys that then went to the Raiders? Was it Larry Brown? Larry Brown, who had the pick 6 and all that stuff against Neil O'Donnell. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a safety is going to have an interception, possibly a pick 6, tip passes, tackles, all that big stuff. I'm going to Jordan Whitehead. I'm going to the safety. It's 120-1. I'm not even advising you to play it. I'm just telling you, I want one lottery ticket out there. In the event Tampa wins, and it's because of the defense, I want one lottery ticket out there. I had Cam Chancellor at 80-1 in the Super Bowl against Denver, where the defense mauled Peyton Manning and the Broncos. And he was so close. He had such a huge game, but Bobby Wagner had a pick 6, and Malcolm Smith had a pick 6, and Malcolm Smith got it. I was so close to cashing that 80-1 ticket. Would have been beautiful, but neither here nor there. I just like having one defensive player at long odds. JPP, yeah, I see the logic. If you go with Shaq Barrett, I don't think anything's wrong with that. You go with JPP, you're going to have to get pressure on Mahomes. You're going to have a strip sack, fall on the ball, score a touchdown. Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever logic you want to use. I'm going with the pick 6 concept in the secondary. If you want to go with the pressure concept against this offensive line, which is all banged up for the Chiefs, have at it, man. I sprinkle a little, man. $10, $5 on a big shot. Try to get paid. So here's the recap, and then we sadly say goodbye for the year. All right, first TD, Rob Gronkowski at 18-1, Sammy Watkins at 20-1. To win the game, Kansas City -3. Patrick Mahomes over 40.5 passing attempts. Tom Brady under 39.5 passing attempts. Rob Gronkowski over 29.5 receiving yards. Tom Brady over half a rushing yard. I'll be sweating that one more than anything else. It's not like I have the most money on it. I'm just going to sweat that one more than anything else. I really want to hit that one. Kansas City to commit the first penalty. Leonard Fournette over 3.5%. This is going to get really messy. Leonard Fournette, this finger doesn't even bend right. Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions. Leonard Fournette under 48.5 rushing yards. Spirit fingers. Sammy Watkins over 36.5 receiving yards. Longest return, Kansas City. This is kick returns, not punt returns. Kick returns. And then MVP, Patrick Mahomes at -105 and Jordan Whitehead, moonshot, 120-1. Can you discuss what transpired with the in-laws when the Bills went down? Yes. They're very reasonable people, and they were very proud of the Bills this season, as they should be, as everyone should be. And I mostly faked it through the game, rooting for the Bills. I had bet the Chiefs, but I wasn't going to be sitting there gloating and cheering for the Chiefs. So I fake cheered for the Bills and then cashed my ticket with the Chiefs. And then afterwards, told everyone what a great season it was. I think ultimately, when you're a smarter football fan and you're reasonable, like my in-laws happen to be, you're losing to the Chiefs isn't going to be the type of thing that like devastates you, right? Like as an Eagle fan, when Rondé Barber ran the McNabb interception back in the final game ever at the Vet NFC Championship game, and then the Bucs went on to beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl, that was heartbreaking. Eagles should have won that game, right? That was heartbreaking. But you lose to the Chiefs, everybody loses to the Chiefs. Everybody's been losing to the Chiefs, right? Hell of a season to get to the AFC Championship game. All right. Very sad. Team total first quarter under. I would play that at 10.5 or less. If I was doing a first quarter bet, I would play the under. I would also play Tampa to score first. Wouldn't surprise me if Kansas City starts slow in this game at all. We see that all the time. And then they come roaring back. I haven't done that. If I was to do that, that's what I do. All right. Time for me to go to brunch. And then get the champagne going. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching throughout the course of the year. I can't believe we started this thing in week 1. I can't believe we're already here at the Super Bowl. Have a great day today. Yeah, the national anthem, the rehearsals were 2 minutes 14 seconds, 2 minutes 15 seconds, and 2 minutes 16 seconds. But because the word is out, I don't even think you can bet that anywhere. There is an opportunity. The anthem should be right around 2:15, 2:16, right? There are some props out there that might not have been changed. What's going to be shorter? What happens faster, the anthem or the quickest scoring drive? If you like that, take a look. All right. You guys are the best. The score next season, absolutely. Chicago, I love you. Bay Area, I love you. Everywhere else, I love you. Hit up the people at Oddshark. Let them know you enjoyed. Check out my friends at Oddshark. They do fantastic stuff. Be safe, be smart today. Have a lot of fun. Don't overdo it. Maybe a little, but not all the way. And we'll hopefully see you next season, or maybe for the Masters or March Madness, something like that. See you soon. You guys are the best. Drink it in. This is your lasting image. All right. Enough of this nonsense. Good luck, everybody.